Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Wealth Management Advisory Club meeting. Oh, let me get that off of there. Come on, get off there. All right. All right. So today, actually, originally, if anyone didn't remember, our original schedule we did launch back in September. We worked on a Peapack Private Lisa McKnight come in. However, she did have an economics updates event that she had to attend to. Fortunately, we're actually going to get Mike Flynn, who's Managing Director, Wealth Advisor at Peapack Private. So guys, please turn on your cameras. Please ask a lot of questions. Make this engaging conversation possible. And with that, Mike, I'll leave it up to you and for his yours.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Absolutely. I look forward to share my experience as a financial planner and my background. Approximately how many people are participating?
About 25, 30.
Okay, great. You mind if I say?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I prefer it.
Okay. So my name is Mike Flynn, and I am a wealth advisor with Peapack Private Wealth. And I'm a recent hire with Peapack. I just started in March, and it could have been pretty happier. And my role is, as a certified financial planner, is deepening the relationships with the clients that we already have, and also growing relationships, building the business. And I really quarterback the situation between, we kind of a team approach to investing and planning. And I quarterback that between the team members. I'm the client-facing person where we have portfolio managers that strictly just focus on building portfolios, rebalancing, maintaining that portfolio. And then we have attorneys, CPAs, estate planners. So this is all part of the team approach we have, and I'm kind of the middle person that interfaces with the client between the internal team we have and also kind of the external team that clients may have, like CPAs and attorneys. So that's my role. I love it because I'm a people person. I love to be in front of people. I love to help people. And that's what it's all about for me in this field. I wasn't always a financial advisor. I started out really interesting story as a messenger on Wall Street delivering securities way back when. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is cool, yeah.
Yeah, it was a cool job, and kind of worked my way up next in the kitchen, working in the kitchen, in a brokerage environment with a bunch of brokers, old school transaction type based brokerage selling and buying. So that was interesting. But I got to see bottom up how a brokerage firm ran, and I really enjoyed it. Other than a 4-year stint in the service, I served 4 years in the Air Force. I came back, had taken on the Bachelor to join the Air Force, and worked back in the same firm, Securities Pacific, that I worked for, and then became a regulator in the industry. If anyone's ever heard of FINRA, back in the day it was called NASD, National Association of Security Dealers. I was a securities examiner, so I wore a compliance cap for 10 years. 4 years as a regulator, and then a compliance officer for different brokerage firms, and worked for Prudential Insurance Company. Gained a lot of experience with that, but I just wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied. At that point, I was married with a few kids, and I said, I want to really do something that gives me gratification, makes me feel well, and I became a financial advisor. I pulled the string, joined Edward Jones, if you've ever heard of Edward Jones. I love their unique model of having an office in the city you live in. That was the idea. So they had over 10,000 offices throughout the country. I gained a lot of experience. It was first-class training because I didn't know much about selling, building clientele. I knew something about securities and FINRA, but I wanted to really have a direct impact on people's lives. So, make a long story short, I did 8 years with Edward Jones, and then I became an independent. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how you become a financial advisor, in the industry. There are different ways, and I did this. I actually did it all 3 ways. So I became an independent with LPL Financial. They're probably the largest as far as assets under management, independent in the country. And I was with them for 5 years, and then I did a real short stint with Prudential before Peapack had called me and asked me to join that group, which I did. And obviously, I'm very happy we did. So I got into this because, like I said, I wanted to help people, and all my life I've always had a strong passion for investing, helping people, and particularly helping people reach their financial goals. So I really enjoy it. It just made sense to do that, and I was right. The issue is when I was your age, guys, I just didn't have the confidence to go out and do it. I wish I did earlier because I would have set myself on a very successful, rewarding career. It still is, but the earlier you start, the better it is. Your business really grows. I don't know how many here want to become a financial advisor. I know you're most of the students here in finance classes.
Yeah, we basically have a mixture of finance, accounting, so wealth management minors as well, so.
Okay, great. All right, so hopefully what I discussed today is applicable to you and your studies and where you want to go. One thing I just want to put out there before I move forward is if you hear something I say, I know this kind of environment, if you don't feel comfortable asking a question, please reach out to me. You know, there's permission to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one. So when I started as a financial advisor, and that term financial advisors is really, it's just a broad term of what we do. You know, it's kind of, I remember starting saying, well, financial advisor, when I started was kind of a broker. You know, I started with Edward Jones and I grew my business in the town I live in, opened a branch office in the town I live in. They're the typical model. And all I really did was deal with investments, selling individual stocks, bonds, or different ways to own stocks and bonds, which were through mutual funds and ETFs, if you're familiar with those. We also had an advisory type program. So not only did I have a brokerage license and relationship with my clients, we also had a kind of advisory relationship where I was compensating more than fees, charging them a certain percentage of assets under management, whereas brokerage is more a commission-based environment. So that's it. So I worked at Edward Jones, and the day in the life of an Edward Jones advisor or any kind of financial advisor starting out, you have to grow the business. Unless you're fortunate or lucky enough to, you know, take over a book, we call it in the industry, take over a book, you have to start from scratch and build that business. And that perhaps is one of the most challenging things. Depending on your personality, you may have to, like I did, get out of your comfort zone, try to grow that business and just consistently make a habit of trying to grow the business. A CRM is a customer relationship management system. That would be your best friend or my best friend, because one of the most important things you can do in business is time block. You're all over the place, you're learning a lot, there's so much information to learn. You don't have so much time in the day, especially in my situation. I was married with a few children. You kind of have work-life balance. So having a good calendar system, I believe, you know, the contact system was real important early on. It's still very difficult even to this day to stay true to that time management. And, you know, typically the day of life of a new financial advisor is you're spending, it's not half the day, most of the day, just trying to grow the business. So it's interesting, you know, we joke the first 3 years as a financial advisor, or even a financial planner or any sales role, is that it's not the same job you're going to do once you go through the business. So
You said you had to build your own business. How did you do that? Maybe cold calling, things like that?
it was cold calling, but it wasn't calling on the phone. Edward Jones' model was knocking on doors.
Okay.
So I found I knocked on every single door at least once, maybe probably twice, which I like. I was more comfortable doing that. Again, it was more about helping people, and so the feedback I got after doing that for a few, did it for about a year and a half, but there were a lot of follow-up calls. The feedback I got is that if you really enjoy what you do and you're genuine, people read that. You know, people know that you want to help them. And I was genuine. I just wanted to be part of the community. I joined certain organizations like Rotary. I'm in prayer for the Chamber of Commerce. A few boards, just became part of the fabric of my community. And that was the model they encouraged us to do that. So, you know, I would say if you're starting out, you can start out with a brokerage firm like that I did, or you can start out. I wouldn't recommend starting out as an independent, but you can do it. I know people have done it. You have to learn a lot, or you can go through a banking channel like you know, say Wells Fargo, you know, Chase. and do it that way. Obviously, I'm biased towards the brokers because that's the route I took. There's so many areas to focus on. I struggle with this because I'm one of those continual learners. I always like to educate myself, learn what's going on, what's new. In this world, there's always so much going on. And in between, throwing out buzzwords like fiduciary, best interest, suitability standard, how you license, the way you're licensed, how you get paid, what type of investments you focus on. And, in my case, I kind of graduated from an investment advisor to more of a financial planner. I got my CFA, which took me a good 3 years. I kind of did it part-time while I was raising my family, but I believe they have a program here where you can do it, if I'm not mistaken, in about 18 months. Yeah, so it's a rigorous program. But once I became a certified financial planner, I really wanted to practice planning. It's kind of like you go see a law degree, you want to start practicing law, you spend all that time and energy doing it. So that was my approach. And that's when I left Edwin Jones and became independent with LPO, so I could practice planning. I still do investments. I'm very well versed in that. Financial planning, that's a big there in itself. The different areas of planning. There's investment planning, retirement planning, tax, estate, insurance planning. So my recommendation would be you're not going to have a choice. You're going to have to study all those different areas. They go into depth. It's stressful. The test is not easy. But once you get past that test, the idea here has to be everything to everybody. You have to decide what you want to focus on. What's near and dear to you as a planner. And for me, it's retirement planning, investment planning, tax. You can't get away from the other areas like insurance, investment, insurance, taxes, and estate planning. But by far, I focus more on those areas. And you always have to focus on all areas of planning, but you have other resources like estate planning, in terms of CPAs and help in those areas. Are there any questions? I just like to stop up until now. I went into my background, becoming a financial advisor, how I became a financial planner, different channels, you did banking, brokerage, independent, kind of how we get paid. I'll go into that a little bit, but I just want to kind of stop and try to make it a little bit interactive.
Yeah, I have a question. So you're saying that you went to do like commission-based pay or percentage-based pay. Which one did you prefer?
I kind of like, I like the advisory. I like the fee-based code of information, and that's where the industry's going, by the way.
It's going on.
Absolutely. One of the bullets you had is where's this industry going? Definitely moving from a transactional commission, Series 7, federal license, to more, fee-based fiduciary, Series 63 or 3 or Series 66.
So do you think the Series 7 is like not one of the, it used to be, you want to invest, you need your SIE, you need Series 7, there you go. Do you think it's transitioning into more like a Series 66?
No question, but I still think, and it could be up to the whole school, is that Series 7 can only help you.
Okay.
It was a tough exam, and I don't know how much history you guys know about the exam, but half of it was on options. Not just, you think of stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. Half the exam was on options. I don't know if that's still the same. Tough exam, again, but once you pass it, you hold on to it, and you have it as long as you're sponsored by a firm. Are you guys familiar with that process?
Yeah.
Getting licensed, okay.
Yeah, I think for me as an accounting major, I think CPA, CFA, so I'm kind of actually on that path right now.
Oh, good. Good for you. That's awesome. Yep. How about you? What are you thinking?
I want to go into, so right now I accepted an internship in the summer for a private equity firm. And I really want to see how that works. I feel like working in private equity would be a lot more better for the investment side of me, but hopefully I get to be, I definitely was thinking of taking the SIE or Series 7, but I don't know if I should either take like CFA or CFD. If I don't know which one would be more worth it in the long run.
In the long run, those are questions I'd be asking myself too at your point, especially which one do I go with? They're both, tough programs, and exams are tough, but they're completely two different.
They're so different, yeah.
So that's a challenge. You have to kind of look deep inside and Like, you know, what am I doing here? Am I more of a person that wants to be an analyst? 'Cause I work with a couple guys that are studying for the CFA right now.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, they just, but they both passed the first part, the 3 parts, right? Yeah. Yeah, I heard the first part was tough. I'm just getting this from these guys, and so, you know, that's a completely different road to go on. A great one, career-wise, but I would encourage you to see, and I don't know what that takes, but look deep inside and say, what's going to make me happy every day? I would approach it that way.
You think one of the two should, like, I probably shouldn't just ignore that step, right? Like, that's something I probably should get if I want to break deep into the industry.
What's that? What's the question?
It's like, what if I didn't get the CFA or CFA? But it's probably much harder to break into more of the industry.
No, I don't let that discourage you. The certifications, and you'll hear this from people that have been in the industry, and I'm going to recommend some resources for the presentation, but absolutely not. That's all between your ears, you know, it's what you think. You don't need certifications to be very successful in our business. I got to tell you, nobody ever come up to me and said, "Are you a CFA?" I mean, maybe once on occasion, but no one's coming up to me saying, "Are you a CFA? What are your certifications?"
Yeah.
And sometimes it's ridiculous, you know, I'm part of the Financial Planning Association in New Jersey and nationally, and some other groups. And there's so many certifications after their name. It's just way too much. You don't need all of it.
Okay.
I got it because I approached it from, I already had the job. I knew I loved what I did. I thought if I can better serve my clients, that was my approach. Why not learn this part-time? I did part-time just to kind of get to really, and I learned a lot. I became a good resource for my clients, but I didn't know everything.
Yeah, because like I was saw like kind of where like that kind of furthering tests and certifications, I feel like it'd be really hard for me because I'm not very good with tests and things like that.
Yeah. Well, that's right. So you want to do it in your time, and I tend to be a slow learner too. I'm not saying that you are, but like, it takes me time to sometimes understand a concept.
Because I don't like memorize things like people, and I have to understand it in order to do well, and that's why I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you enjoy working with people?
Oh, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
You do. Okay. So that's a big part of what what we do as financial advisors. And you don't have to be an extrovert. You know, I work with plenty of advisors that were a lot more successful than me that were introverts, and they were just able to figure out their strategy, grow their business, and serve their clients. At the end of the day, if you want to really help with clients, you're going to grow the business. People are going to reach you and know that you're genuine and you want to help them. Any questions from
Anyone on Zoom, have any questions or, actually, I'll ask you a question. It's actually kind of picking off what Mitchell said with his question, but like, because I've asked a bunch of like financial advisors that came in the past, and I've asked them like, in the wealth management like field, would a CFA or a CFP be, more like feasible for like anyone trying to go in the wealth management field? So like, would people like in wealth management looking to get into wealth management, are they looking for people who are pursuing the CFA or CFP or even both?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say it's, one of the requirements when I joined Peapack was that I had some kind of advanced, degree. And I have a finance degree, my bachelor's, I also have an M.B.A. But I always enjoyed learning, so I've always been going to school for something. But yeah, I mean, one of the requirements for this particular position was, 10 years experience, advanced degree, CFP preferred. You don't need it, but it is, I mean, obviously it's helpful, and it came down to, it really comes down to the interview and who you are as a person, I think. I'm a more bigger believer in that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely.
Any questions? I look to the right because that's where the TV is.
Yeah, it's hard to zoom card we have there. It's ever looking at connect with Metro or Metro members.
Is there anyone in the chat ask a question?
No, but I think Lindsay might have a question for us. I think chat.
This way, Lindsay.
Never mind.
I think she might have a question or not.
Camera shot.
I guess she is. Okay, I guess we'll move on then, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, let me just keep going. Or it doesn't have to be a question, everyone. If there's something specific you want me to touch on, I'm happy to. You know, as far as I looked at your bullet checklist and it was very detailed, so I appreciate you sending that to me. When I looked at markets, finance 101, that's a very broad topic. But one of the things I tell my clients, and I'm a big believer in this, because I'm not a CFA, I'm not an analyst, I don't really deep into the weeds about security selection, I'm not a market timer. I'm more of a, buy and hold, buy quality, diversify. And what I tell my clients with respect to what the current events are in the market, the economy, in the world in general is, let's focus on what we can control. There are a lot of things out there that we can't control, obviously. So let's focus on our goals, whatever those goals are, retirement, college, whatever your goals are, and your investments as far as what your tolerance for risk is, time horizon, and build an investment portfolio that's right for you.
I think we have, I think Kevin wants to ask a question. So Kevin, you're going to mute yourself and you can ask a question.
Thanks, Cyrus.
Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, I have a question. So I'm assuming that maybe some of your clients' portfolios aren't performing as well as they want them to. If a client calls you up angry about their portfolio, how do you kind of go about dealing with that and ensuring them, I guess maybe the long term will be better?
That's a great question, because that's especially in the last year. Well, first of all, we try to be proactive and reach out to them so they don't have to make that phone call. But yeah, that's when you put on, there's so many hats to financial advisor, and one of them is that customer service hat. Where you tell them, listen, first of all, understand, acknowledge their concern, don't dismiss it, we don't dismiss it. I think that's the important thing. Like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I know your question. Tell them that you understand it, and then try to go through and say, hey, listen, let's focus more on our goals than the investments. That's the kind of position I take. That's kind of where let's focus on what we can control. Where we look, your time horizon. Let's say this person stays for retirement, and retirement is 35 years away. Now, the market's not doing well, and we were in a strong bull market since the market turned after 2008. March 2009, the market started coming back. So everyone's getting comfortable with the way the market's doing, getting double-digit returns. So to your point, Kevin, now they're so used to that kind of market with the legs on it. They felt, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a good gut check for a lot. It's a perfect opportunity when that client calls is to recognize that they're upset, walk through it, see how the portfolio is doing with respect to the indexes that they're in, as far as diversification, and just tell them, hey, listen, as long as we're on track for our goal, for the purpose that we're trying to invest this money, let's just try not to let short-term events affect our long-term horizon.
Yeah, no, thank you for answering that. The reason why I asked that is because I applied recently to a financial service rep role, and I'm sure when I get the call next week, that will be maybe a question HR asks me how to deal with that or angry customers. So thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I'd be happy to talk offline if to share more with you. Even for that interview, let me know if I can help you in any way I can.
I think we have another question in the chat.
Cool.
This comes from Joe Long. Does Peapack Private offer any accounting services?
They do, that's a good question, Joe. I'm relatively new, but I know we have CPAs on staff, not where I'm located. I'm in the Princeton office, and we have different locations. In our Summit office, we have CPAs that do tax planning, even do tax returns, or income tax planning, personal returns, that kind of thing. So yes, we do. And we have internships too. They just put out an email. If anyone's interested in considering an internship at Peapack Private or Peapack Gladstone Bank, which is our parent company, let me know, and I will forward you the email to apply and to send a resume.
I assume it's a summer internship, right?
Yes, for next year. Competitive too. Competitive internship. Now, the one you're looking at Is that an internship or is that gonna be a full-time
I'm
job?
under private equity.
Yeah.
It's an intern. I'm only soft.
Just not
It's an
for-
internship, yeah.
Is that in New York or?
Yeah, it's called Bessemer.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's in, the Rockefeller Center.
My son's a junior, he's applying for something like, I don't know if it's the same term, but it was the same type of role that you just mentioned, so I don't know if it is the same company, I'll have to ask him. Did I answer your question, Joe? Do you have any more questions?
No, that
That's
answered
good.
his questions.
That's a good question because it's timely, that's for sure. And, you know, my approach in my business with my clients is I always try to stay ahead of that. And just say, you know, just set expectations, you know, as long as we have the right investment objectives for their portfolio, we do get these swings in the market. We're gonna be prepared for it because we designed a portfolio for that. That's gonna be, you know, tolerance for you, that volatility, those swings in the portfolio are gonna be okay. Because the last thing you want to do is try to time the market, pull out, and then try to time, then you gotta time when you get back in. That's not right. It's more about having the right portfolio for you. We determined that a couple different ways. One through a risk tolerance questionnaire, which is kind of a baseline to see what their, you know, asset allocation would be. And then also their time horizon, what their goal is. And from that, we determine whether we're going to have a growth focus or we're going to have an income focus. A lot of it depends on where they are in life,
Yeah.
right? So you just let me know if questions come in and I'll keep going here, but I think it's important. My goal here was not to be so instructional, it's to be, try to be very helpful as far as answering questions or just talking, having a discussion about the career and really what's involved.
Actually, I have a question if you think. So, a lot of apps kind of applying things, just think on higher view, if you know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
It's like, it's basically you get to do like a pre-recorded interview before.
I've heard of
It's like a pre-recorded interview, like it's like kind of like a first stage, and then you go to the in-person. It's like for me, higher view interviews are always the worst for me. It's pre-recorded, and I just don't like it. What are your thoughts on things like that?
Well, just from what I hear, I'm not like that at all.
It's like they'll ask you like a behavioral question and a technical question, and I guess they want to see how you do. And like they use that to see if, oh, maybe we'll bring them in person interview.
Yeah, you know, and I just feel like, you know, for me personally, that's not an approach that I wouldn't even consider it, just for me personally.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that, like you had mentioned before, I'm not that test taker kind of rep. I'm an individual, I have my own personality, and I prefer to be face to face. It's not, right from there, they can rule you out because they're looking for a specific answer where you just didn't think to say that, but you're very qualified. You know what I mean?
That's kind of why I'm not the biggest fan. It's also,
I don't like it.
you know, yeah.
the same on that, because I had a interview with Golden Resume like 2 years ago. It was the same thing that you did, like the pre-interview, but I never want to do that.
It's a lot of finance firms, I realized so far. Yeah. Like I had to do one for Morgan Stanley, one for like Goldman Sachs, one for like PGIM.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, never, yeah.
Yeah, PGIM. I haven't done that.
That's unfortunate, you know, because you bring so much, there's so many, they're kind of different. When I feel this is just my opinion,
Yeah.
that's where I work there, right? And the way I feel is that, you know, you bring so much to the table with your skills and talents and your aptitude and interests. It's not just a specific test questions, that doesn't know the answer, you know, or behavioral type situation where, you know what, maybe you weren't ready to answer that question at that particular time, but if it was another time you would have been.
Yeah, I completely agree on it.
Yeah. So, yeah, so.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No, I tend to agree with you on that. That's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of question I want to have, you know, real world.
Yeah.
What are you actually going through? Because I don't know, it's been a while since I was in college. Never heard of that, so I appreciate you sharing it with me.
Yeah.
Just looking here through my notes, you know, how we get paid, you know, so depending on where you decide to work, in our industry, it really shifted, like I said earlier, when I was more of a broker, a stockbroker with Series 7, it's kind of what they call general securities representative from FINRA. I was paid by commission, so, you know, it was as simple as this. And I was always transparent with clients, which is real important. How I get paid, they really should know. And the industry is a little twice because sometimes advisors did not tell anyone how to get paid. If you ask me, so I don't know, but I know they're gonna make something, but I don't know what they're getting paid. I was very transparent, probably because of my regulatory background, and quite frankly, if I was going in there, I don't want to know how you get paid.
Yeah, thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate that. So when I started with Joe's, it was kind of a, you know, if I sold a stock or a bond, let's say it cost the client 1 to 3%, right? I would get the company would get a 60% payout, I would get a 40% payout. So just to give you an idea, and some firms are different. Some firms they may go 50-50, some firms may take 80 and give you 20. That's the way it was back then. And when I say back then, I'm only talking 10 years ago. And it's still, you still can do it, it's still out there. Standards have changed as far as, you know, knowing your customer in a brokerage environment. They've created what they've shifted from what they call a suitability standard, basically meaning you have to know if they're right, you have to, you know, prove or document to clients this investment's in their best interest. Not, you know, and that's really about it, that this is an appropriate investment for them. It's suitable.
So why do you think it changed? People.
Because, you know, it's just so kind of, you know, suitability. You can always say you had that conversation. It was kind of fluff. You really couldn't put a finger on knowing that you were putting their best interest first or putting them in the appropriate investment.
Okay, that makes sense, because they could just focus on their money at that time.
Well, that was the issue, you know, and then when I worked for FINRA, those were the kinds of complaints I worked on the investigation side. Those were the kind of customer complaints I would see is, you know, sales practice violations, like unauthorized trading in the account, churning, in other words, excessive trading in the account, suitability issues. So misrepresentation, that was another sales practice issue. There were a lot of issues around that, and it was hard to kind of document and prove that you had to go through a lot to prove that that person was actually trying to do that. Fiduciary standards are a whole different world because you have to prove that you're putting the client's best interest first. You have to document it. The onus is on the firm and the representative advisor, whereas on the suitability side, the onus is more on the client, more of a buyer beware situation. So, but they've changed the rules now. They call, you know, instead of suitability standard, which is still there, you still need to have a suitability standard, but now they have what they call best interest, which is more aligned on the broker side, which is more aligned with the fiduciary standard on the advisor side.
So I'm gonna ask, you've seen the word fiduciary, what does that mean?
It's a great question because most people, you throw that word out, they're like, what do they mean by that? And really, the only way I present it is it's just, it's the golden rule. You are putting the client's interest first before yours. It's truly in their best interest. You're trying to eliminate any conflicts of interest. You know what I mean? And you have to document that you're doing that. You have to prove you're doing that. So the onus is on you, the firm. So just think best interest, fiduciary. That's the key word, keyword is best interest. And that's why they came up with this new standard on the brokerage side called best interest standard. That's really what it's all about. You know, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, I can't think of a better business to get into than what I do. I did it when I left David Jones. I became a financial planner and independent, and I learned that I did love being entrepreneurial. I loved wearing all the different hats of owning a business, but I definitely felt siloed. So I just want you to know those kinds of experiences or feelings I had going independent. Even though I am entrepreneurial, I felt completely isolated because it was just me wearing all the hats and all my clients. I felt like I couldn't really better serve them because of all those responsibilities. So that's when Peapack called and said, hey, we got this position open for you. It was exciting for me to be part of a team again, you know, so, but also to kind of do what I love and have a passion for. And so that was important to me too. So I'm really, like I said before, when I quarterback the relationship, I would call myself really more of a relationship manager than anything else, just making sure the client's happy. and deepening that relationship with the client. And all I can say, just from my experience too, is to get into this industry, don't feel like you have to know everything first day you get into it. It's a process, it's going to be your career. You'll learn about the markets, you'll learn about the economy. You're going to learn that although that's important, it's going to be more important to focus on letting the client know what we can control, and trying to get them away from short-term events and really focusing on the long-term goals.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some great resources. You guys, let me know if you've heard of them. Right here in New Jersey, and it's a national, the Financial Planning Association. Do you guys part of that? Do you participate?
We actually, every year, I think FDU participates in I think the Cheddar Bowl they host. I think it was between FDU, Seton Hall, and Rutgers, and actually our very own Cameron Brooks actually won it from FDU, actually won the Cheddar Bowl for this year. So I'm actually happy for him to win that.
Is he on the call?
No, it's not the goal that I.
That's awesome. Well, that's an organization kind of, thinking about getting into the planning world that you want to be part of. Michael Kitces.com, KITCES, calls himself the investment nerd, but the guy's very knowledgeable. Great resource. I always go to him if I want to take whether it's a technical question on Secure Act and how to impact the RMBs. Just a great resource to go to. Another thing I recommend, and this doesn't have to be for financial planner or financial advisor, is if you go to a company, a brokerage firm, or a bank, or you're part of that team environment, find a coach. I found that invaluable. Someone that's successful.
Like a mentor?
Yeah, a mentor, exactly. That's exactly right.
How'd you find that? Just do working on place, or you kind of?
Yeah, well, that's it. For my situation, I think with Jones, they assigned me a mentor. He was successful, and I learned a lot. That's somebody I can call. And they had different types of training programs. It was always nice to have one person that was successful. That's what you want to do. You want to do with that person. Make it your own if you want to try to do those activities.
That makes sense, yeah.
How are we doing for time?
We're doing all right for time.
Just about 40 minutes into it. I just want to look at your bullet points, see. Becoming a CFP, I highly recommend going to the Certified Board Standards, CFP Certified Board Standards website. Obviously you have the curriculum, the coursework you have to do. I did it through the College of Financial Planning, which was put out by Kaplan. It was an online kind of at your own pace program. And I already had experience just from being a financial advisor. That part was easy.
So did you know a lot of the information because you were working it for a while?
Like for the investment planning side, the retirement side, it did feel comfortable with business retirement plans, personal retirement planning, a little bit on the insurance side. I had some experience with that. So I felt comfortable with certain areas. This tax and estate planning, I did not, other than, making sure we review beneficiaries, do you have a will? That was the extent I, knew about estate tax planning. Coursework really went deep into, different types of trusts, different types of titling of accounts, probate, all that good stuff. So that was all new stuff for me. So was the income tax planning. But you need to know it. You don't need to know it. Once I passed the exam, which was a really good feeling, I forgot a lot of it. I don't work on it every day, But the one thing I did learn is I knew my resources. I made a great term of buy-sell agreement or depreciation. I know I can talk and know where to go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I do with my role right now at Peapack, is just kind of knowing my resources. That's what it's all about. And I recommend just become an expert in something, like maybe just one thing and you're the go-to person for that particular subject. I recently did a webinar with our head of financial planning at Peapack on Medicare. I didn't know much about it, but I took the course. I had to get seat credits for my CFP. actually did a 21-hour course on Medicare, and a lot. I felt very comfortable doing that because, and that's something I'll forget. I'm sure I don't look at it every day, you know, right now it's enrollment up until December 7th, I believe, but I know where to go. I know my resources. There's just too much out there, and there's too many roads to take, so you gotta find what's right for you. You know, and I really feel that every one of you will be very successful to do that. It's not easy work, it's hard work. Put the time in now while you're young, and the dividends will pay off as you grow up.
That makes sense, yeah.
You know, yeah. Let's see. I told you about internship opportunities. Some of these firms are great going into the field.
Do you think, I know you're new to Peapack, do you think Peapack would be a good place to get an internship?
Yeah.
You're gonna say, yeah, but like,
I know.
your professional opinion, you think.
I think so. I can tell you it's a professional environment. There are a lot of smart people, and I really think it would be an excellent internship.
Okay, so you're Peapack Gladstone, Peapack Private, is Gladstone owns all that? I guess?
Yeah, Peapack Gladstone Bank is the parent
Yeah.
company, and Peapack Private Management is a subsidiary.
Is there like an investment side too over that, or?
Yeah, there's a portfolio management side to it, exactly. In fact, I'm not required to participate on calls, but every morning we find investment call, which is great.
It's not interesting.
It's really interesting. If you're an analyst and you want to focus on sectors, because each will have specific people talking about certain, you know, stock market sectors, whether it's pharmaceutical, industrials, you know, and the latest and greatest news and events of that day.
Like, I like listening to like a CNBC, like market update kind of thing.
We actually do that. Markets update, and we actually do a club here. It's actually, we're kind of joint venturing with it's our student managed investment fund club where our Matthew Silver College of Business, the dean, Peter Balthazar, actually gave us $100,000 to invest in the stock market. And we actually have 5 stocks already in our portfolio. And I think next week we're about to have some presentations to the oversight committee. But you know, I think it was a great experience. You know, just have these like students come in and just get like the real like investing experience, like you know.
I did my presentation, my internships on Tuesdays.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was $100,000.
Yeah.
What's the portfolio at?
I don't think they're doing too well.
But we're going at it for a long term. We're here for a long.
Thank
Like,
you.
we just compete, like, this is the investment compete in the Bloomberg Global Trade Challenge.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had a couple teams.
Yeah, we had 2 teams. I think we had one of them that placed in the top like 50.
That was
And then I think a student that ran by himself.
he did phenomenal.
He got like top 75. Like 900 schools. It was like a global competition. That was like 500.
Yeah, I think me and Louis and Ron, you're at like 150. But we like put a lot of work in it. It was, because we kind of spent through like every sector, we went through like how to bad recession stocks, like cyclical stocks, we went through.
Like, I even tried my best, because you know, like accounting major, like I tried my best.
Like our biggest strategy, and we had to do one for our classes. I looked at like companies that were gonna put out earnings within that time, and I invested in, and I told them we should invest in those, because odds are, if there's good earnings, it's gonna go way up. It's only a month challenge, so
Yeah,
that was.
yeah, that's the strategy. Back it up.
But, yeah, we
Yeah, that
had.
actually was this question, actually. We asked, I think we started asking this question, I think once we had this challenge put out. But I'll let Mitchell explain it, but it was proposed to us by our host of our market that we have every Tuesday, John Bush, who's a former alumni here at FDU. And he proposed this question, and we thought we would ask all of our speakers that are coming in this semester this question, see what their viewpoints are on, so.
This is up here, yeah. So, Northwestern Mutual came out and studied, saying that you need around 1.25 million to retire to make it last for say, like, I think it was 20 years, right? 65 to 85 kind of thing. And
1.25.
how would you make it last? See, like, that issue is that question's really difficult because you don't know their lifestyle. But I think he said you could assume any lifestyle you want when you figure out your answer.
So So I just want to make sure I got the numbers. So 1.25 billion, that's a 20-year retirement.
Yeah,
So the big question here is expenses, obviously.
Expenses.
What your expenses are retirement. So, you know, I don't have my financial calculator with me. No, I can tell you bottom line is that I mean, it's not just books, it's not even expenses, but lifestyle.
yeah,
The 20 years helps because you're putting the time frame to it, because a lot of us don't really, I don't go out 20 years, I go out to age 95 to 100 realistically. You know, statistically, you probably be 30 years in retirement. If you remember, statistically, say married couple, 65,
yeah,
one's going to live to 95 now. There's a 50% chance of one. So, and those are just averages. So we have to plan for better than averages. So let's just say 95, 100. 1.25, at least we know 20 years, we only don't have that timetable. And what was the question? Yes, 1.25, 20 years in retirement.
yeah. How would you make that last? So I guess, so you don't like get another job or, yeah, so you just pay your bills, pay your lifestyle with that 1.25.
Well, that's the approach I take. I would look at what your necessary expenses are, housing, utilities, transportation, food, and see what those are. I think to cover that floor, I call it, cover that income floor, I think we'd be able to, and then you throw in social security into it too, right? We should some kind of security, guaranteed income with social security.
The question is very broad, so I think you can make many assumptions, like you could assume certain amount of social security, you can assume they're just a normal lifestyle, and don't travel.
I think it's a great question in that, you know, there's no right answer, there's no answer to it. Because
Yeah,
you don't know.
exactly.
There's too many different factors.
But the closest, I think the best answer, I think to get like $100 cash. Yeah,
What was that, $100 cash, what?
like, no, if you like get the best answer, like the person who give you $100 cash.
Oh, is that what they're saying? You get the best answer?
Like for a prize.
Yeah, because they want to encourage empty stores to get engaged in some way, so we thought, oh, like, almost challenge them. We thought we would ask each of our speakers just to see how they would perceive it. You know,
Yeah, and mine is, the loud and clear message from that question for me is, it's really impossible to answer that question.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, because you don't know that person.
That could be the right answer.
There's spending goals. Yeah, that would be my answer to any flight that came in. Hey, I got $1.5 million, I got social security. All right, well, what's your lifestyle? How long do you expect to live? I'm so good about that, 1.25 million. I feel like we're in a good place, you did a great job saving. That's the kind of approach I would take. Excellent job saving.
Yeah, I don't think
1.25. I would run a cash flow analysis
Yeah.
with our financial planning tool. We use e-money. I don't know if you're familiar with different types of financial planning.
Yeah, is Tableau one of them?
I haven't heard.
I use that.
Then there's Porsche.
Okay, yeah, the big ones that I've heard in the industry, and these may be newer ones I haven't heard of, are e-money, Money Guy Pro.
Money Guy Pro,
Well, was it called Fox or World something, I can't remember. But for sure, Money Guy Pro, like the
Yeah.
CFP program, we use Money Guy Pro. Yeah, it would depend on their spending. We're missing a big.
That is a big.
Part of it, what their spending rules are. And even within that, was necessary expenses or was discretionary?
When's that due, Karen?
That's Tuesday. They're gonna do it.
Can I like email my answers since I'm not?
No, I think they're gonna do it during market.
They left out.
No, since I'm not gonna be there.
Just give it a call.
Okay.
I think we have time for one more question. So I'm asking this for the general public because we do have, I think, a bunch of freshmen on this call here. And I usually ask this question for myself, obviously not for everybody. What's the best career advice you would give to a freshman in college who's, hasn't really determined their major yet and is thinking about maybe, oh, I want to do accounting, I want to do finance. And then, bounce off it, if they want to do major in finance, should I minor in wealth management? Should I take the FINRA, the SIA exam? Like, what would be the best advice you give to a freshman just coming out here after you?
If I had to do it all over again, the best advice I would say is one, and I did this later in life, and I wish I did it when I was younger. There are folks out there to discover what your aptitude and attitude are. I'll call it my Parachute is one popular book out there, and there are different types of tests. I can't remember the name of this. I can't remember the name of the test, but I'm trying to find out who you are, the type of person you are, you know, zero down what your aptitude is, what your interests are. I know one called your Parachute is a book I read, and I found that very interesting. There was also another test. So get to know who you are. Ask people that know you, love you, the type of person you are, what they think it fits you, because they see it. They're looking into the fish tank and saying, oh yeah, you're definitely that type of person.
Yeah.
Well, you think you may not be, or you may not know. So ask someone that you know. And the other thing is, if you find a field that you think you want to go to, start doing, you're offering this service, like me coming, and start talking to people in that field. Find out what the day is like. If you say a day in the life of a loan advisor, that's an excellent question to ask.
You have a card?
Yeah, I don't business cards, I'll leave behind. You can share them, or you can just check it out. So, my email is MR, Michael Robert, MR Flynn, FLYNN @PGK.
It's gonna be on the card, right?
It's on the card.
Yeah, okay, cool.
We definitely will do that. And I could, our members connect you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, please. You know, it's, any way I can help, I really want to help. And any additional questions, don't hesitate to ask. I hope you guys found value in this. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, you may get an email or two.
So, thank you. WMA Club members, please stay behind a couple of quarter announcements. Can we please take a picture soon? We're going to feature on our LinkedIn page for a throwback meeting. You want me to? Yeah,
You
have working things.
All right, say cheese. Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I'll just take some of these valuable members.
Just take the whole day.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, you're good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Very nice meeting you. Don't hesitate to give them a call.